right on. So we're here with my friend Don, and it's July 2nd, 1863. And so July 2nd, see that barn right up there? Okay. So this is the area where the McLean farm was. And my good friend Don is here from the 142nd PA. And Don's here doing reenacting and living history at the Daniel Lady Farm. But this is where the McLean farm was. And on July 2nd, about this time of the day, on July 2nd, the 13th South Carolina was coming right across this property. And I had three cousins from South Carolina in the 13th South Carolina who were tasked, as you guys have often heard me say, with burning that barn down. And so they were tasked with burning the McLean barn down. Right. And I don't know if the barn is actually rebuilt on the exact same spot, but that is the general area you see on the maps. And we're going to take a left. And so we're out here on Fairfield Road. Take a left, my friend. And then you're going to take the first quick left. And me and Don's here visiting, and Don's here doing the annual Gettysburg Battle reenactment out at the Daniel Lady Farm. And we're headed up to Reynolds Avenue. We're out on day one. We're out on what is called day one of the battle, but today is actually July 2nd, so the second day of the battle. And there's that barn down there on the old McLean farm. And so about this time of day on July 2nd, my three cousins were coming across the Harmon farm, their cousin's farm. They didn't even know that they were crossing their cousin's farm. They rolled up through the McLean farm, and there was another barn right in that general vicinity that they were told they had to burn down for all the Yankee sharpshooters from the 142nd and the Iron Brigade, so that they couldn't get up in the barn and use that barn as firing positions for sharpshooters. And so me and Don are out taking a ride around the battlefield, and I'm glad my pal came by. And if you guys want to go out and say hi to Don in the 142nd Pennsylvania, head out to the Daniel Lady Farm for the events the next 3 days. You guys would be glad you did. And so we're headed up to the 142nd, which is Don's unit, and we're going to talk a little bit about what happened here. On July 2nd, the Confederates had already pushed into town, so today there's a lot of hand-to-hand fighting right in the streets, right downtown, right where you're eating your ice cream cones. And this was secured. And so we're back out and mobile, and I have assistance today so we can get out a little bit. And let's head right over to the 142nd, man. And thanks for tuning in, my friends. And I hope there's some history in your day. Awesome, you guys. So here we are at the 142nd PA Monument, and this is my friend Don's unit, and they portray the 142nd PA. And we're out on Reynolds Avenue, and if you guys can imagine, yesterday, hundreds and hundreds of troops coming across that field, and all these guys are engaged with them. How are you?
Good, how are you?
Not bad at all. And that is sure a nice monument. And so where we were on our short hike the other day, if you can picture General Reynolds over in the distance, and that's where General Reynolds was wounded on the morning of July 1st, 1863. And on his left was the 142nd. We had some Irish from New York down on the left. We had thousands and thousands of troops coming right across that ridge from the Harmon farm where we were this morning, and here in Erbst Woods where we were yesterday. And so this is one more piece of this battle from July 1st. And now I can't tell you exactly how many troops died here, perished here, or fought here, because guys like me and Don, we were a little too busy dodging bullets and reloading. Love that shirt. 2nd Regiment, FFVB. So you guys, if you'd like to meet the 142nd, head out to the Daniel Lady Farm this weekend for artillery, cavalry, infantry, and muskets. Give you a little bit better idea where we're at. There's the Widow Thompson's house, General Lee's headquarters. And I was just zooming in on the cupola it's hard for me to see. On the cupola where General Buford spotted the Confederates coming into town. Now Widow Thompson's house there is often called Robert E. Lee's headquarters, but his actual camp was right across the road on the right of Widow Thompson's house. So in that green field there where that orchard is where Robert E. Lee was actually camped. And we were just talking about how overwhelmed these troops must have been. Me and Don were just discussing, you know, from this position, all those Confederates coming over that ridge out of Willoughby Run were on the other side of the run from my place. And all the Confederates coming from the northwest, of how all these Yankee troops were overwhelmed. And all we can think of is just overwhelming numbers. Pushed them back. The 142nd was almost completely annihilated. And what survivors did survive, and I think Don said it was Cummins, and they retreated back into the seminary, which turned into a hospital. So that turned into a field hospital over at the seminary. And so we were just discussing what must have been going through the soldiers' minds from the 142nd PA and all the Yankee units here when they saw just hundreds and hundreds of North Carolinians and Tennesseans and Alabamians coming up over that ridge in just overwhelming numbers, because Reynolds had showed up, finally Meade was showing up, the Union Army is finally showing up, and so what was up here was trying to hold the Confederates going into town. And there they are. Run fast or get run over. So yeah, me and Don were just looking at that, and we were looking at 935 enrolled, 809 dead. And so after this fight, that's what was left. And that's a heck of a lot of engagements. We were just talking about how many battles, and we wish we could read that a little better. Wish it was in bronze. But boy, that's a lot of fighting. Lot of fighting. And so we're out on Oak Ridge, my friends. It's July 2nd. Out here with my pal Don from the 142nd PA. And I've been wanting to do more on this video here of Iverson's Pits, the infamous Iverson's Pits. And so imagine we're gonna go to where Iverson and his men were. So imagine down this hill in this orchard. Make it real simple. Right down this hill in this orchard, there's troops just sitting down there. Just sitting down there. Sitting and waiting. These Pennsylvania boys were sitting right down there, just waiting. Take a peek. For all the Confederates to come across that field, right across Sherfy's farm. And so Sherfy had a farm over there. And on July 1st, all the Confederates came across this field and came right across his farm. And we'll show you their perspective. And so the 88th Pennsylvania, if you can imagine, all these Pensy boys, all those Pensy boys sitting down that hill where we just were, all laying down, boy, they were just waiting for Iverson and his boys to get across that field into a really bad position. And so, my friends, I was just telling Don, this is the very first reported Gettysburg ghost story ever. It's nice sitting out here. It's sunset with a cup of coffee and a cigar, and boy, you sure can see the mountains so much better today. I wish my apartment was a couple more stories higher, because you can really see the Appalachians real good today. And so let's see what happened. 88th Pennsylvania Volunteers, 2nd Brigade, 2nd Division, 1st Corps, erected by survivors. August 27, 1883. On the afternoon of July 1st, 1863, the regiment charged to this position, capturing 2 battle standards and a number of prisoners. So Iverson's men came across, and like I said, this was the old property of the Sherfy farm. They come across this field, got up to about this position, and of course they could not see those Pennsylvania boys up over that ridge. And so what happened here? We're marching up here, we're this position in a line where me and Don are at. And what happened to Iverson's troops? They were taking fire from the south, and so Iverson's brigade turned to the right, wheeled to the right to engage the troops over in those woods, and all those Pennsylvania boys come up over that hill and annihilated them clean. Almost completely wiped them out. There were some survivors. A few men I've read picked up their swords or tried to actually fight for a second. They could see that they were completely overwhelmed. There were few survivors left at all. The story is, and now granted I wasn't here, the story I've heard over the years is that the men were so cleanly wiped out and annihilated, Iverson's brigade, that when the officers came up here to see what had happened, because the Yankees were eventually pushed through town and back up onto the Round Tops, that when the officers came up to see what was going on with the troops, that the troops had been wiped out so cleanly in a line, in a row, that the officers thought that they were actually lying down taking naps, and then realized that they weren't taking naps, they were all dead, and they were shot so quickly and so cleanly, they all fell where they were marching in line. And so, taking fire from that direction, they turned to the south. The Pennsylvanians come up over that ridge where we're at, wiped them out. And so years later, farm workers out here reported at sunset that they would hear moans and groans and sounds of dying soldiers, and eventually the farm workers refused to work towards sunset. They were quitting earlier in the day because of the things that they heard out here. And so that is, to the best that we know, is the first ever reported Gettysburg ghost story. And there's our favorite barn where we were just the other day. And without Don's assistance today, my buddy's here for a reenactment. Without Don's assistance today, I wouldn't be able to get out and do any more videos. So thanks, Don.
Yes, you're welcome.
Yep, if you guys ever want to get involved in reenacting,
yep,
you don't have to have awesome red curly hair. But if you guys are ever interested in doing Yankee Union living history at all, I'll post some links along with the video, and you can get in touch with the 142nd, a good group, a bunch of good guys. And so let's carry on, my friends.